So we'd like to welcome everybody. We appreciate you taking the time. This has been a very, crazy end of the semester for us. And so as our national partners, you guys have been getting a lot of information about us on the billing, how we've been wrapping up the school year. And so we wanted to start the process of talking about what fall could look like. We know this is going to be changing and kind of a fluid document. But we've got a presentation for everyone, and then using the chat button, if you can do ask your questions when we're done, we'll answer questions, and then we'll be putting together a document that's got everybody's questions and those answers, in addition to making the webinar available to everybody. It will be recorded, and so if you want to be able to share with your local house corporation boards, or you would like us to do something similar or identical to this for your own groups, we're more than happy. So I'm going to turn it over to Adam.
All right. Thank you, Shanna. And thank you to all of our partners for being on the call today. And thank you to everyone who's going to be watching this in the future from our website as well. Our goal here today is to really give everybody a great kind of information about where we see food service heading in the post-COVID world, and to answer your questions that you have in regards to that. So I'm going to give you kind of a little bit of an outline of what we're going to be doing and how we're going to move forward in the presentation today. I know that we've heard this a lot, sort of the new normal that we will be under. So we're saying welcome to this new normal when it comes to food service. I think the food service is one of the areas that will be likely impacted by some of the new policies and procedures that we're going to see come out. And our goal is really to stay on the forefront of that. And to inform all of our customers of the information that we have, so that together we can make the most educated decision of how to keep our students safe within your facilities across the country. So we're going to talk a little bit about the COVID-19 impact on food. We're going to talk about some best food handling practices. And then we're going to go into the bulk of our presentation will be on the possible food service changes that may be occurring going into next school year. We're going to go ahead and hit a few frequently asked questions that we've been asked a lot of lately. And then we're going to answer your questions at the end of the webinar. So we're going to try to keep this short and concise to be respectful of your time as well. So kind of jumping right in here on the COVID-19 impact on food. One of the big question marks is COVID-19 a food safety issue? We're all aware of the fact that COVID-19 is a major issue, but the CDC and the USDA are currently reporting that they're not aware that human illnesses can be transmitted by food or food packaging. So they're not seeing that COVID-19 right now is being transmitted through food. So unless that changes, I think that's a good thing for our kitchens, in the sense that this is something that's transferred from human to human, and not necessarily through the food or the food packaging. Another question we received a lot is food imported from other countries or other states who have been, maybe let's say there's a state that's been more highly affected than the state that one of your campuses is on, but food coming from those areas, are we at risk from getting COVID through the transportation and just the stuff being supplied from there? Once again, there's currently no evidence to support the transmission of COVID-19 associated with these imported goods. We don't have any reported cases that we're aware of right now of COVID-19 in the United States that originated from receiving food from an infected area. So I think another good sign on the food is that we shouldn't necessarily have a huge concern from that front. Another question that we've received a lot is, can you get infected with COVID-19 by touching food packaging, or food surfaces? The current data is telling us that there is not evidence for food or food packaging being associated to being with the transmission of COVID-19. The coronaviruses, they really need a living host, so an animal or a human, in order to grow. And so food is not going to provide that for them, for that virus. Now, one thing to keep in consideration, though, I know this from my personal quarantine experience at home. My wife likes to leave packages out on the front doorstep for 24 hours before we bring them in from Amazon or wherever they're coming from. I think the same could be true for some of the packaging and surfaces. If we have packages, surfaces, things like that that are infected with the COVID, obviously you could be infected with COVID by coming in contact with those surfaces. So it's going to be really important as we talk through the presentation today about how we plan on sanitizing and moving forward in that direction. If an employee, a kitchen employee, is infected with COVID-19, would the food that employee produced be safe to eat, or food produced from that facility then be safe to eat? We're starting to see this happen a lot in restaurants that are open for curbside or other ways of dining with limited dining. We are starting to see some food service workers that are being infected with COVID-19 and starting to get some best practices and sort of how to deal with that and how to move forward. For us, food personnel who are ill with COVID-19 will be excluded from work activities that would create an unsanitary condition. So I think that, removing that employee right away is going to be an important piece until they've gone through that quarantine process and have tested that they're no longer positive for COVID-19. I will tell you this, though, there's no evidence currently to support the transmission of the virus directly by eating food that might inadvertently have been contaminated with a virus. So let's say someone who has COVID-19 produces a dish, puts it in the oven at 350 degrees. When that comes out of the oven, it gets put on a buffet line and is served to a member somebody could grab. This is going to be something, I think, a decision that needs to be made on the local level as to whether or not you want to do this or whether or not it's mandated. But this is certainly something that
You're kind of freezing.
So I think maybe we should can disposable there.